聴者今日の話は何ですか? Treachery, conspiracy, sex, sword fights, madness, ghosts, and in the end, everybody dies. どのように修羅するのですか? True this, beneath the rule of men entirely great, the pen is mightier than the sword. Behold, the arch-enchanter's wand itself is nothing, but taking sorcery from the master hand, to paralyze the Caesars and to strike the loud earth breathless. Take away the sword. States can be saved without it. ペンは剣よりの強い。なんか愚かな考え。It's time you paid our dear friend Wilhelm a visit. また会うまで、聴者。Have you seen the Death Note movie? Okay, so here's my thoughts on the Netflix Death Note movie. Honestly, I liked it. It was okay. It's not the worst thing. Could have been better. Could have been a lot better. I still personally like the two-part Japanese live-action movie, so track that down and watch it. Them. If you want a more faithful adaptation, it still changes things too, just not as much as this one did. Now, changing the setting isn't inherently bad, specifically with Death Note, in that really the nature of the story itself, along with it having references and themes from both Eastern and Western mythologies, it really lends itself to taking place anywhere without actually changing the story itself. Changing a character's ethnicity is not inherently a bad thing. Certainly it upsets a lot of people when characters are different than what they originally are. But again, this one has been shifted over, and they're kind of making a more diverse cast, and it's really fine as long as you stay true to the core of the characters. But some of the characters were fundamentally altered from their original. Take Light, for example. In the original, Light is very confident, and here he's just a really annoying D-bag. He's kind of generic in that kind of, this character is in every horror movie, and he's also troubled. Light feels there's injustice in the world, right? And that's mostly due to his mother's death and the fact that his mother's killer walked scot-free. And we discover this through some very clunky exposition from both the school's principal and Light's dad. Now, this still doesn't explain why he creates the Kira persona and claims responsibility for over 400 deaths. Really, his motivation isn't clear, besides kill bad guys. What really is Light's motivation? What is Light's motive? Light motive. A leitmotif is a recurring theme. And there's certainly some recurring themes throughout Death Note. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. What does God need with a starship? Wait. Scratch that last one. Now, there are many interpretations of all of the themes present in Death Note. From religious iconography, parallels with Kira being worshipped as a god, he being a false god, Rook eating apples, which can symbolize temptations. He is tempting Light with the Death Note and its power. There's betrayal, of course, and I've come across a few things where people interpret it as having parallels to Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. Now, I mean, I can kind of see that, but maybe it's more like Hamlet, you know? Treachery, conspiracy, sex, sword fights, madness, ghosts, and in the end, everybody dies. Okay, there's not exactly sword fights, but they are clashing wills, and the pen is mightier than the sword. Speaking of betrayal, Light enlists the help of Mia, standing in for Misa from the original. In the original, she's a model slash up and coming idol, and she has her own Death Note. But here she's just a bad girl cheerleader who apparently wants to get into Light's pants. Spoilers. She does. And she assists Light with his work, which kind of neuters Light a bit more than they already have in this. It kind of makes it seem like he's doing things with her rather than on his own. A lot of the stuff that in the original we see him do on his own, he does with her in this version. He brings her in very early on, like the first 10-15 minutes. He gets the note, he kills like one guy, well, two guys, and then brings her in the next day and shows her all the cool things he can do with it. And it's not until Light and Mia betray each other in the climax does this kid finally start acting like the original source Light. Light source. And in this version, Ryuk is the only Shinigami we see. He is voiced excellently by Willem Dafoe in this. They did like facial capture and CG'd Ryuk's face on some guy in a monster suit. Ryuk would have had a much more commanding and menacing presence if they just had Willem Dafoe in costume with makeup on. I mean, have you seen the original Spider-Man movie? Dude's creepy. Now, the dad's fine. The actors pretty much played the same part in like everything I've seen him in. L and Watari are great. I really like L, and Watari's pretty good. He's pretty cool. And with L, they do play up his more childlike behavior, but they don't shy away from showing his intellect or his addiction to sweets. I'm surprised he's not a diabetic, but it does lead to a part in the movie that I really like. Huge spoiler warning. Later on, in order to discover L's true name, Light puts Watari's name in the Death Note and compels him to discover this information. After Watari disappears, L stops eating sweets and eventually starts showing withdrawal symptoms. Shaky hands, nervous tics, he's quick-tempered, and he starts making mistakes, which is how Light gets away in the end. Spoilers. L doesn't die. Mia dies. It's a pretty exciting thing involving a Ferris wheel in the finale. But basically, Light finds out that Mia put his name in the Death Note. And then he comes up with this really complex scheme involving several different people. He beats the system by playing the rules against themselves. So he finally started acting like Light. This film is about an hour and a half-ish, and it condenses pretty much the whole series into that time. Yes, it waters down a lot of stuff. Yes, sometimes the pace is trying to outrun Usain Bolt. And it kind of works during the finale. There's a pretty good on-foot chase where L is chasing Light. It's pretty cool. Yeah, action movie stuff, not really Death Note. After all, they are attempting to appeal to a wider audience, and most adaptations do. You're not going to get a 100% adaptation of anything, and you might as well just go ahead and burst that bubble. They simplify things, having Mia write in Light's Death Note rather than having her own. There's only one Shinigami, Most of the killings and investigation is done through montages. The cinematography is amazing in this. They really catch that kind of horror movie look. Lots of Dutch angles make you know things are going down. Dutch angles, man. We need more of them. And a lot of the gore effects are done practically. I'm a sucker for practical effects. Okay, my final thoughts. It's your opinion whether you think it's good or bad. I enjoyed it. Will I watch it again? Maybe. I'd rather watch the original anime, or if I could find the two-part Japanese films, I'll watch those. It works in bringing the story to a wider, broader audience that wouldn't necessarily have watched it in the first place. Of course, when you adapt anything, you do have to keep in mind that you need to please the fans. I say go ahead and watch it and decide for yourself whether you like it or not. I mean, at least give it a try. It's not terrible. It's not The Last Airbender. So there's my thoughts. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, what have you. We're required to say that by law now. It's true. Read the fine print. So until next time, be on the listen and be on the lookout for a random ninja attack.